All right. Greetings. Oh, thought I had no buzz. All right. Now I have no buzz. Just like that. How y'all feeling? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. This is probably, well, actually, no, this is one of the things that I center my day around is doing the show. So it's good. Feels good that y'all are here at the appointed hour. So thank you for hanging out. We're live on Rockfin. We're live on Callin. We're live on YouTube. Let's get into it. Lots of things to cover. I mean, this is kind of an older story or something I've been trying to cover for several days. But that they did a, I guess a controlled burn or a controlled release of vinyl chloride. I think it was a controlled burn is what they, I'm going to read through this article very quickly. But Poppy actually sent this to me a few days ago. Then I believe Joseph sent it to me. Maybe it was yesterday. Well, we'll look at this first from Governor Mike DeWine. Mike DeWine. Norfolk Southern Railroad is planning a controlled release of vinyl chloride at approximately 3:30 p.m. today, and this is from February 6th. An immediate evacuation in a 1 mile by 2 mile area surrounding East Palestine, which includes parts of Ohio and Pennsylvania, has been ordered. What happened, though, was that there was a train crash. That's funny. They're talking about the movie Super 8, which is pretty good movie. Anyways, there was a train crash, and the trains were carrying some nasty stuff called vinyl chloride. Yeah. Is 1 by 2 miles enough? That is a really good question. I mean, it also reminds me of, I was just about to go there, D-Truth. Not Japan, but it reminds me of 3 Mile Island, if anybody saw that documentary, which is a pretty good documentary about, I was young when that happened, like too young. I remember it happening. But I don't remember all the nuances of the story, but it was a big story for like weeks, maybe months. But, yeah, they pretty much, 3 Mile Island, they pretty much, minimized the what was going on. They minimized the damage. It was actually major damage. They ended up having, they ended up releasing a lot of radioactivity into the surrounding area. And, for the people that are like, nuclear power is totally safe, it's going to be the future. Yeah, everybody who was around, they had an amazing amount of cancers pop up a few years after 3 Mile Island. And in that documentary, if anybody saw it, I mean, literally everybody who was in the documentary got some cancer, 10 or 20 years down the road, or sooner than that. And again, correlation is not causation, but if there's a lot of correlation going on, you could pretty much sum it up by like, I think something's going on here, right? So, and they actually eventually ended up evacuating people from around 3 Mile Island. Yes, to avoid panic, let them get cancer. So, no, nuclear power is not safe. Oh, there was another story I had about that it's deep in my, probably way back in the last week or two of shows about France having an issue storing their nuclear waste. Again, yeah, nuclear power is the best, but where do we store the waste? We have no idea. I don't know. I just love the super sciencey guys giving you the pseudoscience around how safe nuclear power is. We can't store our nuclear waste. We don't know what to do with it. We don't. In the U.S., and there's several, Superfund sites, nuclear waste sites, and they're like, I don't know, they did what Russia did in Chernobyl, right? Like, I don't know, we're gonna make a big casket for it, or we're gonna try and contain it somehow. I don't know. We're gonna seal it up and hope it doesn't get out. That's our best bet. Anyways, this is not good. This is not good at all. What is vinyl chloride? Toxic gases connected to the Ohio train derailment cause concern. Well, God, do you think so? Days after crews released and burned. So they hold on. Shoot. Dang it. Don't do that to me. I was trying to just read this. Days after crews released and burned toxic chemicals carried by a train that wrecked in Ohio, residents were concerned about toxic substances that could be lingering in their evacuated neighborhoods. Well, why would they ever worry about that? They released and burned. That's what you have to know about this story. They didn't just release it and they called this a controlled release or controlled burn. No, there's no controlling. They were like, we don't know. We can't do. What are we going to do with this? Right? Why do you think they released it? Probably because it was too expensive for them to actually get in there, contain all the stuff, and where they, and take it somewhere. It was probably too expensive and too dangerous. Both. And they're like, well. And they didn't just release it; they burned it. Breathe in that toxic cloud of vinyl chloride. Vinyl chloride was released into the air Monday from 5 of those cars. 50 cars, including 10 carrying hazardous materials, derailed in a fiery crash Friday in East Palestine, according to rail operator Norfolk Southern and the National Transportation Safety Board. Vinyl chloride was released into the air Monday from 5 of those cars before crews ignited it to get rid of the highly flammable toxic chemicals in a controlled environment, creating a dark plume of smoke. So they, again, I can only imagine the buffoonery that this entire operation probably highlighted. And the decision making going on here. The best idea is to burn it. That'll be fine. Residents in the immediate area there and nearby in Pennsylvania were evacuated because of health risks from the fumes and had not been allowed to return as of Wednesday. What is vinyl chloride? The gas is used to make polyvinyl chloride, hard plastic resin, and plastic products. It is found in products such as credit cards, furniture, and car parts, but is most notably used in PVC plastic piping. And you got to know how toxic that junk is. PVC some of those toxic, nasty stuff. If you could not ever use it for piping, I suggest that you don't. It also doesn't last that long. It gets brittle. It gets old and brittle really fast. So whatever you do with PVC pipe is going to have to be replaced in, like probably 10 years. Is vinyl chloride dangerous? And here comes the spin, right? Where they tell you, well, they start going into parts per million. But if you read between the lines, what they're saying is don't get near the stuff on your life. If you value your life or the future of your health, don't get anywhere near this stuff. Ever don't breathe it in, don't be around it, don't play with it, don't touch it. Vinyl chloride is associated with increased risk of liver cancers and other cancers, according to federal government's National Cancer Institute. The effect was studied in PVC pipe makers who breathed in vinyl chloride and developed rare liver cancers, said Ruth Lund, who studies carcinogens at the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences. If you worked longer, you had a higher risk, and if your exposure levels were high, you had a higher risk. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Vinyl chloride is dozens of times less toxic per molecule than the U.S. banned insecticide DDT. So it's safe then. It's totally safe. But it's more dangerous per part than ammonia and natural gas, according to federal regulations that dictate acceptable levels in the air. And if they were really dictating those levels correctly, there would be no acceptable levels in the air. What happens when vinyl chloride burns? Well, let's find out. Officials warned the controlled burn would send phosgene and hydrogen chloride into the air. Phosgene is highly toxic, colorless gas with a strong odor that can cause vomiting and breathing trouble, and was used as a weapon in World War I. Is that was in mustard gas? I'm guessing. Yes, Poppy Davis. Biden started a cancer council which concentrates on treatment, not sources. Exactly. What's the source of this? Yeah. Yeah, what's the source of this cancer? The toxic world you've created. Oh, great. Let's find a cure. Phosgene is considered safe at 0.1 parts per million during an 8-hour exposure, 0.1 parts per million, or 0.2 parts per million for a 15-minute exposure. Oh, Jesus. You don't want to be... Yeah, no, I don't consider that safe at all. The 8-hour exposure threshold would have to be even lower when measuring inside people's homes, where residents often spend more than 8 consecutive hours. So they're talking about outdoors. This is outdoor exposure. Yeah, guys, this is bad. Hydrogen chloride is a colorless to yellowish gas with a strong odor, and its primary effect on humans is skin, eye, nose, and throat irritation. It's considered is that mustard gas? It is considered safe at 5 parts per million for an 8-hour exposure. Hold on, what's in mustard gas? Inquiring minds want to know. Typical mustard gas is the organosulfur compound called bisulfide. But this other gas was used as a chemical weapon in World War I. So don't worry. Don't you worry. Yeah, so this is bad. I'm going to stop reading this because I'm going to get upset. There's not much more to read. How you doing, Rockfinners? What's going on? See you. What's up, Colliners? I see you too. Here's another interesting story that Poppy sent me about the sinking of a aircraft carrier. Brazil decided that the best way to get rid of this aircraft carrier, of course, because it's probably too costly and or too dangerous to disassemble, right? Lazy MFing humans. Lazy MFing humans. Am I anti-human? No, but humans kind of suck on a lot of levels, right? So if you're just like everybody is just beautiful and wonderful, it's humans that make these decisions. It's lazy, sucky humans that make these decisions, and lazy, greedy humans. Brazil did not allow it into the port, citing the high risk to the environment. So dump it in the ocean, just like Fukushima waste. That's what Poppy wrote. Critics of Brazil's planned sinking of the decommissioned Sao Paulo aircraft carrier described it as a state-sponsored environmental crime. Of course. You know that we do that too. You know that the U.S. does that all the time. I mean, we just burned up some vinyl chloride in the air because that was, it was probably cheaper and safer, mostly cheaper to do it that way. Lone Wanderer says, I'm anti-human. Yeah, I don't know, like humans are okay. They're also can be real assholes. So it's, I'm not like, oh, you guys are all so great. I know it's probably better for people to get viewers onto shows to call, oh, what amazing humans. You're so amazing. Like it's, probably better to get people in here to call them amazing humans. I don't know. Some humans are amazing. Some other humans are just like trash. So whatever. And if you're trash, try to do better. Thanks. And some of us have the capabilities of being amazing and trash at the same time. There's also that. Anyways. The planned and controlled sinking occurred late in the afternoon. They already did it. Just when you thought they were planning it, yeah, they just did it. Brazil has sunk a decommissioned aircraft carrier in the Atlantic Ocean despite concerns expressed by environmental groups that the aging warship was packed with toxic materials. Yeah, well, people were concerned about this, and they did it. They were like, yeah, whatever. It's going to be in the ocean. The planned and controlled sinking occurred late in the afternoon on Friday, some 350 kilometers off the Brazilian coast in the Atlantic Ocean, in an area with an approximate depth of 5,000 meters. Brazil's Navy said in a statement, the decision to scuttle the 6-decade-old aircraft carrier Sao Paulo came after Brazilian authorities had tried in vain to find a port willing to welcome the vessel. Wow. Though defense officials said they would sink the vessel in the safest area, environmentalists attacked the decision, saying the warship contained tons of asbestos, heavy metals, and other toxic materials that could leach into the water and pollute the marine food chain. And golly gee willikers, enjoy that next can of tuna. And enjoy that next, fair catch sturgeon or whatever it is you're going to eat, from the coast of Brazil. It'll be fine. Or sturgeon, freshwater fish. Maybe I have some more to learn about fish. I don't think so though. Are they? Anyways, The NGO shipbreaking platform, a coalition of environmental, labor, and human rights organizations, had described Brazil's planned sinking of the Sao Paulo as potentially a state-sponsored environmental crime. Built in the late 1950s in France, whose Navy sailed the aircraft carrier for 37 years as the Folk or Fok. Fuck this. The warship had earned a place in the 20th century naval history. The Sao Paulo took part in France's first nuclear tests in the Pacific in the 1960s. Yay! And saw deployments in Africa, the Middle East, and the former Yugoslavia from the 1970s to 1990s. Wow, history was made. Oh, this is just horrible. This is humans humaning in a horrible way. Mm-hmm. And this is all, I can't. They don't know how to deal with these toxins that they have created properly. They can't do it. So they burn it up in the air, or they sink it in the ocean, or they bury it in caskets in the ground, hoping that'll, it'll be everybody will be none the wiser. Or didn't they make an island full of nuclear waste in is it the Marshall Islands? Didn't they cover like a tiny island? Like they put all the nuclear waste there and then covered it in cement, and they're like, there, that'll do it. Now it's like breaking apart, and the nuclear waste is seeping out of this thing. Yeah. Awesome. According to the Defense Ministry, the area selected for the sinking was identified by the Navy's Hydrography Center, which considered it the safest location as it was outside Brazil's exclusive economic zone. Okay. Well, we don't want to mess with the economic zone. Environmental protection areas free from documented submarine cable and was at a depth greater than 3,000 meters. So it's outside of their protection areas too. So that's great. Okay. Yeah. Good job. Good job, peoples. Good job. You're doing great. Keep up the good work. I don't know. I feel ranty, but I'm not going to. I don't know what else to say. I don't have anything else to say. 81% of British public believe that there is a climate emergency, one of the highest in the world. Shouldn't the UK government act on these concerns? Especially as it has been shown going net zero will save money, create jobs, and increase health. Yeah. Well, we won't debate that, but I'm just showing this to show you how many people actually believe that we have environmental concerns upon us, right? Oh, all these people are in a cult. Really? 81% of the UK is in a cult? Italy, Japan, France, Germany, South Africa, Canada, Philippines, Australia, Spain, Indonesia, Georgia, Morocco, Turkey, Jordan, Tunisia, Sweden, Egypt, Chile, Russia, the US of A. We're behind Russia in people that believe, we're tied with Russia in people that believe that we have a climate emergency going on. Algeria, Brazil, Vietnam, Iraq, Panama, Nigeria, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Thailand, Pakistan, Poland, India, all these countries, more than 50% of the population thinks that there's something going on. We're at about 68, 65. Still, that's a majority of people, or maybe not a majority, but more than half, a lot of people understand what's going on. And we can't. We're not doing anything about it. There's going to be a lot more people than that pretty soon. Like, give that poll about a year or two. That's going to be 90% every single country. And all of a sudden, all the channels that are telling you that climate change is a hoax are going to be talking about the environment all the time. It's going to be a big old flip, like a big switch. And they're going to act like they were talking about it all the time. They were never telling you it was a hoax. Or they'll just go away. I don't know. Interesting thing that I saw. William, I see you. I will take your call in a second. Interesting thing that I saw is that Ice Age Farmer is gone dark. And I hope he's okay. I don't, hope it's not. Maybe it's for personal reasons. I don't know. But there's one less person that's trying to tell you that we're going into an ice age that's not pumping stuff out. I mean, he has other work on other subjects that I actually find pretty good. But his name is Ice Age Farmer. So who knows why he's not posting, but whatever. But I'm gonna predict that a lot of these people are gonna slink off into the woodwork. The Steve Koonens, the Michael Schellenbergers, the Tony Hellers, they're going to suddenly go real silent. And we're going to see what happens with the other people that are super, super, sure, all, absolutely fired up, telling you absolutely every single day that we're not destroying the environment, there's no worries, people that believe in climate change are in a cult. I wonder what happens to these people in 2 years. Do they change their messaging or do they go away? I don't know. I'm gonna eat some popcorn and watch the show. What's up, William? How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good. Well, first, when I used to be on Telegram, Ice Age Farmer, the one good work he did was on the supply chain issues.
Yeah,
and
he
the
was doing a lot
issues.
of that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I didn't really see anything more than that regarding his feeling on change.
It's also interesting though too because it's interesting because some of the people that say like climate change is not real or something. Some of those people are super into like gardening, and right, permaculture. Doing things in a healthy way, like understanding that we're doing things in a bad way to the earth, and so it's like, well, I don't know, I don't understand. Like, I guess why would you have those ideas? That we're doing things in the wrong way, unless you understood that we're not doing good things for the environment, right? How can you not extrapolate that out on a massive industrial civilizational scale, right? So it's like, I don't know. I find a little bit of disconnect on the messaging, and that's the thing too with guys like Ice Age Farmer and other people. It's like I mostly like their work, but I don't know. I don't get it. I don't really get it. And when they get to climate change, I don't get it.
Let me give you a little feedback. What I think. Okay, so we have environmentalism, right, which is the destruction of the environment due to pollution, of all kinds, right? And then we have climatic change, and a lot of these people see these as separate issues. Do you follow me? And what they point to is the cyclical, or I shouldn't say cyclical, but the changes of climate since Earth has supported life. And of course, they point to the solar flares, solar, cooling, mini ice ages, meteor explosions in the atmosphere. You know what I mean? All the things that contribute to it. But for some reason, though, I can't agree with them because they totally reject the idea that burning petrochemicals at an exponential rate as our population has grown, to 8 billion. Somehow that has no contribution to the mix of the gases in the atmosphere and how they may affect the climate. It's mind-boggling. But I think what their argument is, a lot of them, right, isn't it? I think what their argument is that to what degree, Some will agree, but to what degree? And what a lot of people reject too, I think, is when we see what's happening, like in Denmark, where they're shutting down farms. Do you follow me? They're taking farmers' land, and they're using this World Economic Forum platform, they being those in power. Do you follow me? To capture small farms. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
right,
things
right.
of that nature. So it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like, and maybe that's where Ice Age Farmer was coming from, because of course he's for small farms. Do you know what I
Right,
mean?
right. Yeah, I found the message interesting and confusing at the same
Yeah,
time.
I agree. I'm agreeing with you. I hope you understand that. I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
trying to
totally, totally.
define it. But the interesting, I want to point out a couple of things on live chat. I know you got things on it's your show, things to cover, right? Glenn Greenwald hammered corporate media, and Jimmy Dore covered it. There's a YouTube video I put in the live chat, and about basically how they lie to us, and then they lie to us about lying to us, and
Right.
we know the deal. But
Right.
and then have you heard of the dimming, the documentary done by Dane Wigington and
Yeah,
Geo Engineer? That I just saw that, so who turned me on to this? I want to give kudos to Obsolete, because he and I DM one another a lot.
Okay.
Through the app.
Cool.
And he turned me on to this, and I hear
What's your take on the dimming?
Well, I think, obviously, it's just like, three buildings dropped on 9/11, but only 2 planes, total free fall. There's obviously a deception going on. I think I believe, watching the videos and watching the evidence he presents, that there's been geoengineering and spraying from planes, and it seems pretty self-evident. That is there. But we have to keep in mind, he's saying they're doing this spraying with this aluminum, with this strontium, to ward off the climate change. So it's not undermining the climate change narrative. It's actually backing it up. Do you follow me? And that's why they're doing all these things.
Well, I would agree with that. I would actually
too.
agree with that. I think there is geoengineering already going on. I mean, it can't.
Yes, absolutely.
I think they're trying to sneak it out. They're trying to get it out there in a way so that they don't have to admit that they've been doing it for a long time already, right? Like, I think
they've been doing it for decades, and they've used it as a weapon in the military. Do you know what I mean? To affect microclimates. You know what I mean? Like in Vietnam, to cause intense flooding, for example. Things I'm learning. I'm no expert on this.
Yeah, no. Yeah. And that's the thing. Well, that's the other evidence too, that like, they've sought to control. They've already admitted to controlling the weather in so many ways, and years ago, right? So it's like, oh, but they're not doing it now because, well, that's against international. Okay, please get out of here. Like, and I don't really, I have a little bit of an eyebrow raise for scientists who are like, no, absolutely not. It's not going. I'm like, really? Okay. Please use your big brain and think it all the way through, right? Like, think about that one.
Yeah, well, they've flown planes beyond these alleged contrails, that are monitoring planes, the geoengineering watch, you know what I mean? And they have filters, so they're filtering what's coming, in that they're flying through. And then they diagnose it, and it's clearly evident there's behind these planes a super high level of aluminum and strontium and other chemicals. And what's the right word, Kevin? It's alluded to synthetic fibers that help these chemicals stay suspended. Do you follow me?
Right.
And so like graphene, that's one of them, I think. Graphene may be one of them. I have to review the video. I'm just learning about all this. And so and so what do we keep hearing today over and over again? That there's microplastics everywhere, right? That they've testing people's blood and they're finding microplastics in animals and humans. And is it whipped up from the gyres? What are there, 5 gyres now in the ocean, I think, last I recall. The plastic one's twice the size of Texas now, is it? The Pacific gyre? I can't remember.
Yeah.
The plastic concentrations. that somehow that gets whipped up from there. Really, and that's the major source of it all over the globe. Maybe that plus. Do you follow me? This geoengineering. So
Yeah.
there are those who argue that, oh, all this weather modification, there's no climate change. In other words, this all gets so convoluted. Well, see, there's weather modification. See, so there is no climate change. This is all being done by, the dastardly, and you're like, everything gets flipped up and around and scrambled.
That's why I keep saying we're entering the age of the great confusion, because
yes,
as things progress, there's going to be, it's already, not, pretty much impossible to talk about, what we're doing to the planet like now, because it's just because the opinions are so polarized. And the camps are so polarized, and people are going to just dig in until they can't dig no more, and and then when it becomes obvious, right? You have like two sides of the coin, or like it's like one side is people say that it's a hoax and it's not even real, and there's another side, on the extreme side, that are saying like, well, we're really in a bad shape, and like nobody's even really dealing with this problem on a realistic level. So like, and nary the tweens shall meet, right? The twain shall meet. I think that's how it goes. So anyways, man, yeah, I know it's pretty ridiculous, but I've watched plenty of Dane Wigington's stuff. So I mean, I know what he's all about, and I don't doubt that I think that is actually something that's happening. Oceanic Estate said we don't even know the full the full extent of global dimming or forcing hasn't been hold on, the real forcing, it's been concealed, right? Because we've been dimming the atmosphere since the mid 20th century through our prolific use of coal, right? So there's also that too, coal, all the sulfates in the air, air travel. They're also the stuff that's just naturally coming out of the back of airplanes. Like we're burning kerosene into the air. Like
I know.
Unfiltered you know what I mean? There's no catalytic converters on a goddamn airplane, right? It's just that's just straight up fuel just being pushed, through a turbine, whatever, right? Just burnt and pushed out into the air. There's no like clean there's no like clean green airplanes. There's, I mean, whatever. It's just about as toxic as it gets. Anyways, man, I got a couple more things to cover. So thank you for calling in. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for the interaction. Appreciate
it. Yes, sir. Yeah, and then lastly, obsolete lists the stuff: aluminum, barium, strontium, manganese, polymer fibers, graphene oxide, and all that. Not to mention the aircraft carriers being sunk in the ocean, the thousands upon thousands of barrels of DDT sitting in the ocean off the coast of California, nuclear waste being dumped over the back of ships back in the day, for decades they did that. So Good job, humans. Way to go. I don't know, man. I think humans might need a little tough love. Yes, we can be amazing, sure, but I think humans might need a little tough love. I think humans might have to get it together, right? That's not me I'm not anti-human. I think we should do a whole lot better. Do better. Do better. That's all. All right. What else are we getting into today? Oh, well, on the hold on. Elon Musk says he's going to save the planet. Investor Day, Master Plan 3, the path to a fully sustainable energy future for Earth, will be presented on March 1st. Guys, that's it. The plan to save the planet. And it's going to be all about investors, Investor Day. Okay. Somebody comes in and says a fully sustainable energy future will require a few hard truths, such as limiting the size of families, changing the perception of personal wealth and the accumulation and valuation of objects, being realistic about growth and overall lifestyle expectations. And that is actually very wise, but I bet a whole bunch of people are like, how about taking yourself out first, buddy? No, limiting the size of families. Anyways, that was pretty. But Elon's trying to sell a whole bunch of these Cybertrucks and Teslas to you, and trips to Mars, and a whole bunch more rockets. So there's going to be no degrowth on the table. I'm sure. I'm sure there's going to be no degrowth on the table. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. But yeah, there's a lot of. The future is bright. Here we go. It's going to be great. I mean, Lone Wanderer asks, Kevin, but will somebody think of the shareholders? Right. All right. I'm going to read a couple more articles. I'm going to check on the coffees. Buymeacoffee.com/Black Bear News is a great way to support the channel. Also, Rockfin tips are awesome. YouTube super chats, pretty cool. Venmo, Cash App, links in the description box. Also, Patreon. Future is so bright, we got to sink an aircraft carrier because we don't know what to do with it. The future is so bright, we got to burn vinyl chloride into the air because we don't know what to do with it. Yeah. Yeah. And somebody out there is telling you that a true free market would take care of this problem in the best possible way. Sure about that? All right. Yeah, I'll go for some thumbs up, some thumbs ups and some viewers. Keep hanging out. I know it's kind of rough. We're getting through it. We're all going through it. We're getting through some things. It's okay. Oh, this is a random story. They're building a train in Mexico that is going to go through a bunch of, old growth forests, jungle, and people are worried about it, about destroying the jungle and the natural habitat of Mexico. And they're like, I think we're going to build this $20 billion train. Is a train better than a highway? Sure. I don't know. Worries abound that Mexico's Maya train will destroy the jungle. The Maya train is a $20 billion project envisioned by Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. The 15,000 kilometers of rail will pass through unique ecosystems, including the limestone formations filled with fresh water known as cenotes along the Mayan Riviera. This raised a wave of criticism and lawsuits last year that got international attention and temporarily halted the work. Well, all right. I thought I had another article about this pulled up, but here we are. Anyways, now the focus has shifted to this section that crossed the intact Calakmul jungle, which is part of the larger Mayan jungle, the largest tropical forest in the Americas after the Amazon. Did you know this? Did you know? I'm not against the train, but for a mega project of this type, planning normally takes more than 10 years, says British primatologist Kathy Slater, who has been working in Calakmul for a decade with the organization Operation Wallacea. But this is without planning. It's crazy. They're not thinking about the impacts. Oh, those scientists and their regulations getting in the way of project and free markets. The president wants the train rolling by the end of the year when his term ends, designating a matter of national security. There you go. So as to speed up the environmental and public hearing requirements and just make it an emergency. Hey, get out of here. I don't want that. The Army was put in charge of certain sections, including the one that crosses Calakmul. Probably to shoot down anybody who wants to get in the way of this, right? The Army. Probably some environmental defenders that are going to be killed down there. If everything goes as planned, right? But, you know, they're all in a cult. All the people that care about the environment, they're just in a cult. They only talked about the benefits of the mega... a regional indigenous council filed a complaint over the lack of proper consultation, and a judge agreed, issuing a stop work order. Well, that's good. Good on the judge. That applied to nearest city Zapujil. I think that's how it's said. They only talked about the benefits of the mega project, not the impacts or the damages, says Jesus Leon Zapata, a member of the Zapujil Indigenous Council. The United Nations Human Rights Office warned in December that the national security decree threatened the rights of indigenous peoples. But we know they do not care. The Associated Press observed work in progress in Zapujil during a trip in January. The president said several times the national security designation legally allows the work to continue. They haven't complied with court orders, said Gustavo Alanis, executive director of the Mexico Environmental Law Center. It's a serious thing. Yeah. The Calakmul region is home to one of the most important jaguar populations in Mesoamerica. More than 350 species of bird and 100 mammals, plus other endangered species. It's always just, people do what they want first, and they worry about the environment second, and then good luck to us all. Good luck. Here's a okay, well, I'll end the show with we'll get a little weird for a second. Where is it? We were talking about HAARP creating earthquakes. And I said I didn't necessarily rule it out. I didn't necessarily think jumping to that explanation is always correct. But here's an interesting clip. Well, Just a Thought asks, do you believe technology exists that can create natural disasters like earthquakes? And it was just a question, which is a fine question. Not a horrible question. It's not loony. But this guy tweets, former Japanese finance minister says he handed over control of the Japanese financial system to American and European oligarchs because Japan was threatened by an earthquake machine. Okay, so this is I know we're getting a little weird here, but we're just going to talk about it or think about it. So, hold on.
Last year, I confronted Heizo Takenaka, the former Japanese finance minister, over why he handed over control of the Japanese financial system to a group of American and European oligarchs. He envoy told me that it was because Japan had been threatened by an earthquake machine. I did not believe it at the time. However, when I started exposing some of their doings, I was told by the Japanese security police that because of what I had said on places like Rents.com, that Niigata City was going to be hit by an earthquake. 2 days later, Japan's largest nuclear reactor was the exact epicenter of 2 earthquakes, both 6.8 in magnitude. That was too much of a coincidence for me. So I started doing research and found out about HAARP, H-A-A-R-P. And I realized that they really did know how to make earthquakes. And they do it by shooting a billion-watt microwave into the ionosphere, which is the part of the atmosphere that has a lot of energy in it. That pushes the ionosphere up into outer space, and then it rebounds. And the way it rebounds can cause earthquakes. Just like an opera singer can break a glass by singing at a certain level, or by dragging your fingernails on a blackboard, you feel a weird sensation. If they adjust the vibration for the rock underneath their target site, they can do that.
Okay. Well, I cannot confirm or deny that any of that is true. I'm just I'm just playing that just as an interesting idea, right? To think about, to consider. That's all. It's okay to consider ideas. You want to hear somebody explain how it works? I don't know. Sean Kelly says fake news. I don't know. That's the thing, is I'm not really, Okay, I won't play the explain how it works part. This is an older video. I don't know, I'm not confirming anything about this. There was a lot of people had questions about people always question, there are people that question every single event, as if it's controlled. Extra Bullet says HAARP is probably stolen Nikola Tesla technology. Sure. That's the thing, is I don't truly know. There are probably people that know, more than I do about how it all works. If it's the thing that is working, or if it's really doing all the things. My guess is that of course they know something about something, right? They know something about manipulating resonances. Weren't we just talking about? Extra Bullet says I've been down the HAARP rabbit hole a few times. All right, huh? Maybe. How much do you know about it? Maybe you should come on the show someday and we can talk about it. Although it might be dangerous. Again, though, if I don't necessarily, I do think that, like, even if they did have the ability to control particular occurrences, I think it would be fun. I don't, there were people that were talking about, I guess, the amount of energy needed to do something like that, which they probably have. But it's like, we have the facility, I guess, to make an earthquake, but we can't clean up a toxic spill of vinyl chloride, or we can't disassemble an old aircraft carrier. So it's just, it's like I believe that there's probably a commitment to try and, like, figure out how to do stuff like that by the powers that be. But there's also a commitment to just straight up, lazy stupidity. So, I'll usually have to come down on the fact that humans are just lazy and kind of lazy and stupid. A lot of humans, not all humans are lazy and stupid. I'm not calling everybody lazy and stupid, but as a whole, it's a we problem. Hey, I can be lazy and stupid. Extra Bulla says, if fracking causes earthquakes and that's just water pressure, who knows what can be done? Sure. Well, there's also been people have talked about the idea of storing carbon, right? This whole carbon capture thing relies on us like storing carbon underground or in rocks and sediment. And people are like, yeah, if you start doing that, you're going to cause all kinds of mayhem, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen. You try and pump carbon underground and store it underground, and like you don't know the long-term implications of that. You don't know how long it's going to stay down there. You don't know what's going to happen if it springs a leak. You don't they have no idea how it really actually works. Again, the lazy and the stupid, right? They're like, oh, they just have this kind of like vague, like, oh yeah, we're gonna capture, this carbon and pump it underground. That's the big idea, right? But they just haven't even thought it all the way through yet. The big brains haven't even like really thought it. They were like, yeah, but they actually know that they don't know the long-term implications. They actually know that they don't know if it's actually going to work. They know that. They know that they don't know it, but they're like, well, it's the best idea we have. So, burning the vinyl chloride into the atmosphere, it's the best idea we have. So let's go for it. Like that's just like, whatever. It's just dumb, and more dumb. Idiocracy, exactly. Yeah. All right, guys. Hold on, I'm just reading some comments here. Brenda says, if that were so about the earthquake thing, that would fly just right with the flat earthers. They would say it's bouncing off the dome. Maybe, yeah. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate y'all. Again, I don't necessarily believe that, we're control. Somebody, Dr. Evil, is controlling everything from his secret mountain lair or causing all the. I don't necessarily believe that, but it's just an interesting idea to think about, and it's okay to think about ideas. It's okay. It's all right. We can think about stuff. We don't have to believe it. To think we ponder things in a scientific manner, right? Like, here's this idea over here. Let me consider this idea. Do I totally believe this or anyways, I don't have to tell you guys how to think. All right, thank you. Appreciate y'all. I'll see you tomorrow at the regular time. Until next time, peace.